Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, September 22nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe we're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. A couple of quick clarifications. First off, this candlestick right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, ticker symbol NKLA. Been tracking this one very routinely since it's been quite popular and have been talking about this sideways channel here, which is where the red and green line are coming into play. But the big dynamic here is that somebody has finally won that back and forth battle, and it was the Bears. The Bears won this morning during that opening 30 minutes, and then when that occurred, basic rule in charting, when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance, and that is exactly what happened here. So price broke below it, bounced back up a couple of times, you can see, then started to struggle at that line that had previously been acting as support, but it has become resistance, and down the price has gone. So bears have won out as far as that pattern is concerned. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level for now. So first key dynamic, if there is any sort of attempted curl back upwards, is now the big question: can the price get back above this former area of support, which right now is officially at $1.38 resistance? It already tried, as I pointed out a couple of times here, and could not do so. In terms of next levels of support, next very, very important level going to be down here, that pink line, the 200 period moving average down around the 115 mark. And that is a very important level just from a technical angle, because that's a very popular, a very well watched level. So when those levels fail to the downside, that's where things start to suggest that the Bears have picked up that much more momentum. But yeah, overall today, the Bears won the battle. Next one here, LIFW, and I'm having a little case of deja vu because essentially same situation as yesterday. Not exactly, but yesterday, nice move up, then the price came down. You look at today, nice move up, now the price has come back down. And from an overarching standpoint, you still have the price putting in these higher highs. You have the price putting in higher lows. So from a trend standpoint, everything is still perfectly fine. But this is where things get a little tricky from a presentation standpoint, because if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you were buying up there and your plan was to buy and sell in 3 minutes, well then from that angle, the chart looks really bad. But assuming you do care about the big picture point of view, then even with the pullback here, so let's say the price actually goes down and tests that line right there. So price comes down there, and then behaves like that, and then starts to curl back upwards. Now, again, emphasis here on big picture. From the big picture point of view, what would you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows there. You'd have those lows there. You'd have those lows here, and you'd have lows that you can't quite see off screen, even lower. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, what do you have? Well, from the big picture, you'd still very clearly have stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. And that's what a truly strong move is going to do. So I realize that if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair steps. But if you do care about the bigger picture point of view, then overall a trend is perfectly fine. Next one, EBET, and this is one where yesterday I did it, and the red line and green line, that's where those are coming from. But after today's movement of putting new higher highs, updates need to be done. So for our presentation standpoint, I'm just going to delete that out. I don't want to risk causing confusion because there's lines and clutter everywhere. So let's try to keep this as clean as possible. But the first update is just, again, based on that rule that I've talked about already, except in the inverse of it. So as I've talked, when supports are broken, they tend to act as resistance. Well, in this situation, when resistances are broken, they tend to act as support. And that is exactly what happened here. So, I mean, you could throw this right into a textbook. Very, very beautiful example of that former area of resistance now behaving as support several times. So moving forward, the ideal level of support would be at 0.074. I say ideal because if you're to ask Clay, what makes this chart look the absolute strongest? Ideally, if the price can stay above 0.074. But with that being said, from the grand scheme of things, from the big picture point of view, as long as the price is above that purple line there, 50-period moving average, then overall a trend remains just fine. In terms of levels of resistance, nothing fancy or complicated here. Literally just a question of where did the party finally stop today, and that was right here at that area, which sits at 0.083. So 0.083, key level resistance, but overall, as long as this thing keeps on putting in those higher highs, that's what matters most. Next one, PLTR, and like the markets as a whole, so it's not like it was only this one, very, very rough day, and the price is now rolling back over. But to be fair, it hasn't completely rolled back over to those previous lows, which in my mind, the level that I think is very important moving forward is going to be right here at that $14 mark. So let me change that over to represent the support. Because in this situation, if the price can maintain above that level, what is that giving you? Well, that's at least showing some signs of progress, because you'd have this set of lows here, you'd have the previous low right there, and although not a whole lot everything's got to start somewhere. So you would at least have a start of some upwards progress there, but that's all depending on whether or not it can hold above that $14 mark. If it cannot hold above it, then at that point it becomes a very valid scenario and question to throw out there. Well, maybe there'll be some sort of double bottom down there around the 1370 mark. I mean, it has already bounced once, so if the price were to go down there again, that does make it valid to throw out the question of, hey, you know what, could this be the second bottom here before you get a nice bounce up? It may not be. That's why risk management matters, but it would certainly not be, some sort of crazy thought or anything like that. In regards to areas of resistance, main level to watch, going to be this trendline resistance right there, so keep an eye on that. But in my opinion, at least the most important dynamic right now is how does the price behave at that $14 mark, because if it doesn't, seems like there's a good chance it'll at least go down there and retest those lows. Next one here, AMC, and a rough day on this one, not necessarily because it was red, but because it broke through two key areas of support. First key area of support that I talked about previously was that purple line there, 50-period moving average. And again, classic example of that support now acting as resistance. You can see the price just struggled with it multiple times. So that's going to be that main area of resistance. And it also broke down through this area of support right there. But I'm not going to convert that to resistance because, again, I don't want to have clutter everywhere. We'll just use that purple line there as the main area of resistance. I'll also just get rid of that level as it's not really relevant right now. What about next potential areas of support? Well, the next main level to watch, where the price could very realistically be headed down to right down there at $7.40. But if the price does get down there, then once again, you can play that whole dynamic that I just talked about on PLTR, where to be fair, you do have one set of lows right here. But if the price does go down there, is that become a second set of lows where you have some sort of double bottom? Again, a valid scenario to consider. But as right now, chart is essentially kind of no man's land. So that's why I say I don't think, and it would shock too many people to see it potentially drift back down to that 740 mark. Real quick, wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online web class that I'm offering here. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and to manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, definitely get signed up. One special note, it is a live event, so a couple scenarios. If you already have something on your schedule this evening, go ahead, send me an email, or if you just are watching this Friday morning and you completely missed it, go ahead, send me an email, and I'd be happy to send you a link to the replay. All I ask is that you got to be a little patient because it is a genuine live event. So the event first does need to happen. Then I got to get it uploaded, and then I'd be able to send you an email and get that to you. So like I said, but now if you can make it live, then definitely get signed up, and I'll see you here in just a couple hours. Next one here, AMD, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched previous videos, but if you have, you know that I've been talking about this sideways movement right here, and you can see that actually yesterday was the leading indicator. Last 30 minutes, the price actually did break down through the bottom part of that channel. Now, does that mean that it was obvious that there was going to be this big gap down? I'm not making that claim. I'm just saying that, yeah, there was a bearish breakdown, and today there's definitely that much more bearishness, and of course, just the overall market sentiment didn't help the equation at all either. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those levels as they've served their purpose for now. In terms of areas of resistance, I think the main dynamic that a lot of people are going to be watching is this trend line right. Whoops, grabbed the wrong one. There we go. Is this trend line right here? Because AMD is a very, very popular stock, and in my mind, it's not unreasonable to think that a lot of people have drawn this very basic trend line right here. And I say that not to insult anybody, but I like basic stuff because when things are basic, that means lots of people are watching, and when lots of people are watching, you can get some of those self-fulfilling prophecies. So like I said, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, but if the price were to curl back upwards and get through that level, in my mind, it's plausible to think that that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure and, motivate people to want to buy just because, well, hey, it's a popular stock, got beat down. Now it's showing some signs of strength. So I want to try to play some sort of bounce. So keep an eye on that from the resistance side of things. In terms of areas of support, as you're seeing here, it's been a very, very long time since, in fact, so long that I'm going to have to go to the daily time frame here. No, that was a bad idea. There we go. Oh, wow. I was not prepared for I didn't have my settings set up right for can we try the weekly here? No, that's just as bad. Well, you get the idea here. It has been a long time since the price has been down this low. So from that angle, you'll just have to pull up the chart and look for previous lows. But for the sake of this video, and like I said, I'm not, in my mind, the supports don't matter a whole lot to me because the most interesting dynamic is all about that trend line there, which is not dependent on supports. Because if this thing wants to keep breaking supports, oh well, because that would imply that it's still staying down below that red line. But any sort of break of that level, to me, is the interesting dynamic. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and rough day today. Again, like a lot of these, but not necessarily because of the red day, but in this situation, two key levels have been broken. First level was this support that I talked about previously down there at the 261 mark. And then also that pink line there, which you now know is the 200 period moving average. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level because we don't really need it because, again, whoops, I didn't want to do that. From a charting standpoint and just the basic rules, this was a level of support, and say it with me, when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So that'll now be a main area of resistance if there is any sort of attempted bounce upwards, which again is right around that 261 mark regardless. In terms of levels of support, pretty straightforward here, and actually, in my opinion, at least an interesting dynamic, because you have a very possible double bottom here at the 255 mark. You can see a couple bottoms right there, and then right there, beautiful hammer candle off that level. So let me reiterate, there are no guarantees, but with the action that it's occurred here with the bottom 1 and bottom 2, would it be shocking to see some sort of continuation of the upside? In my opinion, absolutely not, but once more, no guarantees, so that's why you got to have that risk management. But yeah, we'll see if this is some sort of double bottom or not. Next one here, CGC, and this is another one where I was talking about these sideways channels, and you can see the bears have taken back over. So this overall sideways channel was violated yesterday, and then also came down here, has violated down below that pink line there, and then it's just continued to bleed. So like I said, on multiple fronts, the evidence seems to be building that the bears are regaining control of this thing. So I'm going to zoom back in here. I just want to give a bigger standpoint. But on that note, you know the routine right now in terms of what's going to be the main area of resistance moving forward. Well, that's going to be all about that pink line there. Actually, I take that back, because what's going to happen here is that purple line is going to cross down below that pink line. And at that moment in time, the purple line is going to take a higher priority in terms of levels of resistance. So watch that purple line. It is a moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself downwards and get more and more, closer to the price. And at that point, like I said, it'll become more relevant than that pink line, even though technically speaking, right now, it's slightly above that pink line, but that'll be changing on Friday. So keep an eye on that as far as the resistance is concerned. As far as supports are concerned, keep an eye on that little trend line right there. Maybe some sort of falling wedge pattern here taking shape, but we'll keep an eye on that. But overall, like I said, that'd be the main area of support that I think is most interesting in the near term. Next one here, AAPL Apple, and first update, just the level that I talked about previously. So 175 was that area of support with the price now below it. You understand, now going to be considered an area of resistance. I'm actually going to adjust it a little bit up because now that we have more data, it seems though that the top part of this channel is more so up here around the 175.60 mark. But like what we just looked at with Tesla, interesting dynamic here because the price is approaching this area that I've mapped out in past videos. And that's going to be the big question mark, at least for me, is, okay, can the price get some sort of bounce off of 173.80? It's bounced off there before. Does it happen again? I won't be a broken record totally, but very well possibly could, but no guarantee, so have that risk management. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it is obviously a very, very popular stock, maybe the most popular stock being Apple. So you got to think a lot of people watching, potential self-fulfilling prophecy here with a bounce off that area. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to rise, this one will also rise. Biggest difference here is it just allows you access at a much lower price point. So yes, the NASDAQ had a terrible day today, and so did this one. In fact, as I speak, this thing continues to push down to lower lows. So, I mean, talk about just a train wreck of an afternoon, just a nasty downwards channel. So yes, there's a lot of updates to be made. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of both these lines here because they serve their purpose, but there's nothing really near term right now that they're relevant for. In terms of areas of resistance, the level that I'm very curious about now is going to be that trend line moving forward. So it'll be very intriguing to see how the price behaves with that trend line as time goes by. So keep a close eye on that. And then as far as supports are concerned, it's essentially in, kind of no man's land. Now, if you want to pull up a chart and look back 4 or 5 months ago, you can do that. But as far as, more so a trading standpoint, then you can see, actually, I lied. How did I miss that? Okay, well, right here, we have this low. At least I think I did. Let's get a line in here. I apparently did not pull up the chart long enough. That's where that's coming from back there in mid-August. So let me change that to the support. So that's where that line's coming from, but oh yeah, all right. So I take that back. I thought we were in no man's land, but I just blatantly lied to you there. But not blatantly, unintentionally. I guess that's just why you got to learn to think for yourself, because sometimes people make mistakes and they don't catch the mistake like I just did there. So 35.25 would be considered that next area of support. So can it bounce? Can there be some sort of broader double bounce type or double bottom bounce? We'll see what happens with it, but no doubt about it, rough day today. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely go get signed up for that free class. It'll be this evening, Thursday, September 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But if you can't make it for whatever reason, like I said, it will be recorded. So if you'd like to watch a replay of it, just send me an email to clay at claytrader.com. As far as the top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, do 2 things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Those 2 things help out the channel. They help out with the algorithm, and I really do appreciate it. So it's an easy way to just help out the channel. It doesn't have to be a fancy comment, just a smiley face. Say hi, give me a watch list for what you're keeping an eye on for tomorrow. So hit that like button, leave a comment below. Go get signed up for that free class, or like I said, if you can't make it live, go ahead and send me an email. Take care.